think it's time to go ahead and jump into this build. Let's throw a supercharger on this car. These are the Renegade brackets. Look at that beast. That, my friends, is a T-trim supercharger from VORTECH. This is a tool that I've been using for a while now, and I love this thing, so I'm going to share it with you guys. This is your little Milwaukee high-speed polisher tool, but it does more than just polish. This thing can also sand and do a bunch of other stuff. So this is what I use the polisher on most of the time, is aluminum. So you can get these little Scotch-Brite abrasive pads, and they're pretty safe for aluminum. This is what I recommend that you guys use if you're trying to clean up RTV or something like that on an aluminum head, or intake, whatever the case may be. So this type stuff, normally you might just leave or take a wire brush to. This is a lot safer. And watch how quick this thing works. All right, it's pretty much done. It's clean. Up here, this is a little thicker residue up here, but watch. And the cool thing about that is you're not gouging the metal, the aluminum. So that's why I recommend to use this tool. Yeah, baby, here we go. So as you can see, we got the intake off the carbon fiber. Why are we doing that? That's not necessary to put a supercharger on the car. Well, that's correct. But we had to put a baffle in the lower intake. Let me show you though what it was that we changed. Of course, I didn't record this, but this baffle was missing whenever I put this intake on. So I didn't think much of it, went ahead, threw the intake on without the baffle. Now we have the baffle from Holley. So we're gonna clean this thing back up and reseal it. So we'll go ahead, we'll get to that. I'll pick back up with you guys in a few minutes because we also got to pull the front timing chain cover off this car and seal that up as well. So a lot of work to do before we go ahead and throw the supercharger on this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Andrew just got here. I finally got some help. And he looks raring to go too.
It's help, but it ain't good help.
I'll take what I can get. We'll catch you guys in just a minute. We got Papa T here with us today, and we got Andrew. Well, not really. We don't really have Andrew, as you can see. He's here. All you're gonna do is remove your front brackets here, so your alternator bracket. We've not read the instructions yet because this particular kit has the Renegade brackets. This is where we're at right now. I'm gonna go ahead and pop these brackets off, and then I'll get back with you guys once we get that done. Y'all can change the timing chain cover. I don't want no part of that. All right, guys, this will be the first part of the blower installation. So we're trying to figure out our bolts and which way they go. This bracket is going to go on first. It's going to go on like this, essentially, right here. And then from there, we'll go ahead and add our other brackets on. So we'll have this one, and then we have the outer right here. So we're probably going to get this bracket bolted on, and then I'll show you guys kind of what we did. And we'll just do an overview of this because there's no way that we can do a full install video like how to, but we'll go over the key points with you. And I mean, we just got to make sure we know what we're doing first. But we'll get back to you here in just a few minutes. So I wanted to let you guys know the way we're doing this, and seems to be the correct way, is go ahead and bolt all of your brackets together. Your first bracket here and then this bracket together. And as you can see, there's a small crimp delete down here, and then your alternator goes down below it. So this is essentially what the assembly looks like before you put it on. Okay, and Andrew's going to go ahead and tighten up some of this stuff, and we're just seeing there's not a lot of room here on these for these nuts. As you can see, you're not going to get a
Yeah, I feel like
socket.
we're doing something wrong.
Yeah, but as long as you can get a wrench, I guess, on the outside of it, that's all that really matters.
Put a whole lot of ass on it, but it's tight.
Yeah, so that's how that looks. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and finish assembling this. So just to show you how this would work, essentially, is you get your brackets bolted up like this, and this just bolts like that. So.
Somehow, we ain't figured that one out yet.
Yeah, we hadn't figured that bracket out
But
yet.
it should bolt to that one with spacers.
So, and that's where your accessory, your engine belt is going to go in between that bracket you just saw, and some spacers, and then this one right here. So, get it with you in a minute. We've got our outside bracket on. Here's what I want to say, just so you know, if you're dealing with these brackets, before you put, see this bracket has spacers that goes in between here. Before you get to that point, the only spacers that you can put in are these three here. This one, and this one.
They're longer.
Yeah, and these are also longer spacers.
These are
if you're wondering.
.359, and the rest of the four spacers are .309.
Yeah, and the reason is this groove, the difference in this groove here. So you're going to need a longer spacer for here, but it all comes in the kit. But what we want to say is make sure that you only use these spacers right here, because you have to slide your belt in. As you can see, all of this stuff down here is extremely close. But our factory, or the belt that we had on this car, actually seems to be working fine. It's a little confusing when you first start, but it's not really that bad. The only thing is, if you ever have to tear into your car to work on it, these brackets are not going to be easy. So for anybody wondering, you know, like, is it worth it to go to the T-trim on like a stock car and go to the Renegade brackets because they look cool? I say that's just a matter of opinion. For me, I'm really liking the way the SI bolts up. It's a lot more simple. I don't know. What do you think, Andrew?
Them jokers look good, though.
They do. They look really good.
And they got a nice tensioner on them and all that, too.
Yeah. I just, if I'm being honest, it's a lot of work, guys.
Stock car, I wouldn't, but
Yeah, on a,
if you want to actually make power with it.
yeah, you're going to have a lot more stability, less deflection. So you're good. Now, we haven't tightened everything up yet, but this thing's going to be pretty cool. So here's your tensioner here. So all you're going to do is just tighten this up, and this will move your pulley. I guess I'd go ahead and show them that. So this just slides on here, and then your pulley. It's going to slide over that. And then this piece just goes over it, and then you put your nut on it. Now, to adjust the tension on this, you're going to have to loosen your pulley up. It's got a friction fit right here. As you can see, everything's kind of loose right now. But once you tighten it all up, you're good to go. So here's where we're at right now. We did go ahead and run our oil drain. So it's down there. Everything's looking good. There's a lot of work left. A lot of work. And we don't know exactly how all this bypass stuff works. So it's going to take a little bit of time. Anyway, we got Crazy Benny over here. He's eating, what are you eating? You're eating some of my food.
Some peanuts.
Are they salty?
Really good.
No, I don't.
Bitch.
Put your smog pump on. That's the first step.
All right, so we're going to try our best to give you a, not a step-by-step, but a little bit of guidance here. So when you're installing this bracket system, as you can see, this is what they call the Renegade bracket system. So it's got an outer bracket. Before you do anything, you have to mount your idler down here for your smog pump, your alternator, and this bracket to this. And then you just kind of push it all up as one assembly. And then this goes on last, this outer bracket. And it's got spacers in between it, like we talked about earlier. The only spacers that you can put on when you put this outer bracket on are these spacers here, these three. The spacers that go down here, as you can see, they'll mess you up when you try to put your belt on. So you need to leave those out until you get your belt on. Outside of that, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
This is where your tensioner mounts over here. It's just got a little added plate. On your crank pulley down here, the bolts that came with this from VORTECH were way too big. So in other words, once you push them up, let me see, I'll show you right here. So in other words, you don't have as much room. See the gap you have on to the sidewall? You can't get a socket in on your new one over there. So what we did was we went and got some Allen headed bolts, and that fixed the problem. So just swap them out. Their size is on the paperwork. Just go somewhere and get you a nice grade Allen bolt and you'll be good to go. Otherwise you can't get a socket down in there to tighten them up. And we are going to be running the stock like fan assembly setup, so we'll let you know how all that works. This 10 rib setup supposedly gets in the way, but we're going to try to notch everything and keep what we've got rather than run an electric fan. But it sure is pretty. That's going to be a real nice setup. Right here on the outside of your supercharger, you can take these, like loosen them up. They go, there's like 6 of them. They go around it, and then you can clock your supercharger. You just kind of bump it, and it'll spin one way or the other. We had to do that so that this pipe would connect easier. This is essentially what it's going to look like right here. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and finish this up tonight. What we got to do, we're not going to finish it, obviously. There's still a lot of work left to do, but we're getting close. Catch you in a couple of days.